Welcome back to the Pro Football Hall of Fame for our next installment of our series here at the Hall of Fame Before the Snap. Today featuring Amanda Carlo from the Kansas City Chiefs. And we'll get to her in a second to talk about her great and awesome career down there in Kansas City, and maybe getting a little playoff talk too as we near some more playoff games this weekend. Here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, this program Before the Snap, we host this program to showcase all the great careers in and around the NFL. If this is your first time tuning in, you're going to hear about what Amanda does on a day-to-day basis, some of her experiences, things she does with her career, and ultimately how she got to where she is today. And with hopefully you're able to take some of those things that you've learned and apply to your own lives. If you've tuned in before, you know what to expect today. We're so grateful to have you guys back, and so grateful to have a guest like Amanda on today. My name is Jake Ray, and I am the Youth and Education Manager here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where our mission is to honor the heroes of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence together. And those values we promote, and we're going to talk about those today: commitment, integrity, courage, respect, honesty, all of which not only make our Hall of Famers, guys who are enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, make them great athletes, eventually Hall of Famers, but it made them great men, great people off the field, great people in their community. And truly, these values can make you a great employee. So you're going to be surprised how many times you hear these values pop up today in everything that we talk about. Before we do get started, some thank yous I'd like to pass out. First and foremost, Amanda, thank you so much for giving up some of your precious time to be a part of today, and truly everything you do for the game of football, and indirectly everything you do for us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I just talked to Michelle Norris as she walked by before we get started. I know you've worked with her and Hayden and a lot of our Hall of Fame relations team during Enshrinement Week stuff. So thank you for everything you do for the game of football, and truly everything you do for us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Secondly, teachers, administrators, educators, professors, anybody that shared this program out with their students today, or are watching us live in their classroom right now, or if you're 6 months now watching this down the road, thank you so much for allowing us to just be a small part of the students' learning experience this year. And then lastly, those students, we want to thank you for tuning in today. This program could not take place without you. I say it every week. I've got a bunch of questions that I'm ready to ask, but nobody wants to hear my questions. We want to hear what you have to say. So like always, in the live chat right there, let us know where you're watching from, what school, represent your school in there, and then ask those questions. Nathan's sitting right on the other side of this wall here, ready to write all those questions down and make sure we get those asked as part of the program today, because that's why we're here. We're here for you to ask questions to Amanda about her career and how she got to where she is today. So again, ask those questions, get them in there. We want to hear what you guys have to say. So today, like I said, we are lucky and grateful to be joined by Amanda Carlo. She is the current manager of community outreach and alumni relations with the Kansas City Chiefs, where she's been for over 4 years. She's in charge of managing communications and activations for Chief Legend programming, Chief Women's organization, and many other great programs. Prior to the Chiefs, Carlo held positions with Cape Air, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, Hush Buckwell, and McCormick Company, and the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. She graduated with a degree in public relations from Missouri State University. So I am happy to welcome today to the program Amanda Carlo. Amanda, welcome to Before the Snap.
Hi, Jacob. Thanks for having me.
We are super grateful to be joined by you today. Super excited. I know I'm excited to hear about everything that you do, because you do have a very unique job, unique title, and things that you get to do. So we'll start with that, as we always do, kind of a 10,000-foot view on what you do with your job on a day-to-day basis with the Chiefs.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for the intro. And I think you nailed it. I am the manager of community outreach and alumni relations at the Kansas City Chiefs. This is not my office. I am reporting live from my home. As you know, it's a COVID world and we're just part of it. So excited to get back in the office on Monday, but this is what we're doing for now. In my role, this is my 5th season with the Kansas City Chiefs. I have, I would say, kind of 3 main sectors that I oversee. So one is the Chiefs Women's Organization, and that is comprised of the wives and girlfriends of our current players, coaching and executive level staff. They do a lot of community outreach throughout the season in a way for them to kind of build some camaraderie, but also give back and get to know Kansas City. So it's a pretty cool group. We have been able to share some of our best practices with other teams, because we were one of the first teams to have one of those organizations. So really proud of that group and the work that they do. Another role that I have, or part of my role, is to oversee all of our alumni relations. So I think, you gave me the number that we've had more than 1,200 alumni play for the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's a big job to oversee the relationships with those guys. Everything from their Legends programming to a lot of their benefits. I oversee our Legends weekend. One of my favorite parts was working with you all at the Pro Football Hall of Fame to plan our Pro Football Hall of Fame inductions, most recently for Johnny Robinson and Tony Gonzalez. So we'll get to that later, but that was truly one of my favorite parts of my career thus far. And then kind of the third part of my job is to oversee relationships with our current players as they relate to their community outreach efforts. So I work with their marketing and community agents as well as the players themselves to find out what they're passionate about in the community and then help them build upon that. And that aligns with the league's Inspire Change platform. So when they are donating their money to causes that they are passionate about, we match those funds. And it has been a great way for us to find opportunities to, give them some guidance on organizations in the Kansas City area that they are specifically interested in, whether it's, food insecurity or single mothers or homelessness, just a variety of causes. We try to help them and guide them on things that they are interested in and want to get back on. So that's kind of an overview of what I do with the Chiefs.
A lot of different hats that you wear there for sure. I want to touch on that last thing you talked about, helping players kind of find that cause. Do players come to you and say, hey, I want to give back, I just don't know how to? Or do they come with like a list and say, hey, here's what I want to do, here's the causes I want to support? And then so either one, how do you help them kind of take that next step in giving back, whether it be where they're from, their college, or even they're in the Kansas City area?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And it really depends on the player. So if a rookie or someone in his first or second year contract, they're still trying to get their feet wet and figure out what they are passionate about and want to get back on. So they may come and say, hey, I just want you to brainstorm some ideas of what I can do here in Kansas City or back in my hometown. And then we just get to work and find some accredited 501c3s or nonprofits in their area. The Hunt family and the Chiefs organization have just prioritized giving back so much that it's such a natural fit to translate that to our players. We never want our players to feel like we are forcing things that are important to our team or us personally onto them. We want them to drive that bus. It's way more impactful and they are much more involved in it if kind of the inspiration comes from them, and then we just provide some resources. So we definitely let them lead the way on that, but we assist as much as we possibly can. And if they have specific questions or resources that they need, we are certainly there to help.
Yeah, it's very cool because every player, easy to think of like, hey, just give back money, easy to do that. But every player kind of has that one niche that they see or they fit in or they've been impacted by their lives the most. So it's cool to see all the different organizations and nonprofits that are represented by some of the players. And, how do they go about representing those? Is it just, news stories or articles or appearances? What are some of the ways that the players right now are giving back and bringing some recognition to all these nonprofits and great organizations out there?
Yeah, I think you touched on both of them. They can either donate their time or their treasure, is what we always say. So they can donate their funds or they can donate their time. So they can go to an event and just serve kind of as a celebrity appearance. Or sometimes, actually a lot of the time, we see them getting their hands dirty. So they are, if they do a coat drive or a coat giveaway for kids or a school backpack giveaway, we see them soliciting those donations, and then we see them inviting groups in the area to those giveaways. So we've been really impressed with how involved they have been. Of course, we try to help as much as we can, but like I said earlier, we like to not let them lead. It just seems more organic that way and more genuine, I think, both to them and to the people that it's touching.
Absolutely. And one of my favorite ones, especially that's really gained popularity here the last couple of years, has been the My Cause My Cleats. I don't know if it's just because of the cool designs on the cleats that I like, or the fact that there's NFL players throughout every NFL team, NFL club supporting their favorite organization. Well, like I said, one of my favorites. And you actually provided us with a pretty cool insight to what the Chiefs do with their My Cause My Cleats program. So what I'm going to do is we're going to step a little out of our comfort zone here. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. We're going to watch a little bit of this video just for all of our viewers to kind of show, not only what My Cause My Cleats is and the impact it can have, but then your involvement in it as well to showcase, that part of your career. So I'm going to go ahead and share this out here, and then we're going to watch a pretty cool video.
I am Amanda Carlo. I am the Community Outreach Manager for the Kansas City Chiefs. The upcoming game against Denver is our My Cause My Cleats game. My Cause My Cleats is a platform created by the players for the players. They wanted an opportunity to share the things that they are passionate about in the community, and this was the way for them to do so. Players work in tandem with different artists to customize their cleats and showcase the causes that they are passionate about. I think the initial rounds of My Cause My Cleats was not well understood by the players. As the seasons have gone on, we've seen players really find joy in figuring out how they can showcase the causes that they are passionate about. This year, we had 16 total players engage in the My Cause My Cleats platform, a huge improvement over 2019, where we had 7 players involved. This year, we had some really big names like Patrick Mahomes, Tyrann Mathieu, and Travis Kelce get involved with this cause, and we're really excited for the increased involvement.
Is it for red?
Yeah.
What color is that?
So L'Jarius Sneed is a really great example of what My Cause My Cleats is.
Oh, you can draw, can you?
He has done an excellent job investing in Big Brothers Big Sisters.
I'm gonna design this part, and I'm gonna let y'all do the rest.
He actually was able to work with a few of the little brothers and sisters to help him design his cleats.
The shoe could be white, and I want the bottom red, though. The bottom red, yeah. And all of y'all designs on the outskirts of the shoe. I'm loving them flames. Maybe run fast, too. I know I'm young in the NFL, going to my second year, but I want to start something real early and fast, and just give back to the community. And it's cool to write high on one and buy on the other one. High buy.
With his time, money, and energy, he has created a fund called the Dream Builders. And it really is an opportunity for kids who don't have the financial means to invest in things that they're passionate about. So anything from funding football cleats to art supplies to dance classes, L'Jarius has set aside money so those kids could explore things that they want to learn more about.
So, watching that video, one, it's just so cool to see the interaction. They're sitting at a table with Sharpie markers, coloring on blank cleats. And then you see the final product when L'Jarius walks out there with those designs on his shoe. So watching that, what is it like to see not only players, like you mentioned in the video, the Patrick Mahomes, Tyrann Mathieu, Travis Kelce's of the world, but a guy like L'Jarius Sneed, who's only in his second year in the NFL, but like we said, wants to make a difference and wants to leave his impact. What does it mean to see a guy like that or anybody on the team start a foundation and truly make a difference in the community?
Yeah, that was really, really special. That was the first year that we really highlighted that program. We've always had it going on, but we really made it a mission this year to promote it within the team and show them that the power that it has, but also the fun. I mean, it's kind of where creativity and fashion and cause collide. All of those things come together to tell a really great story. And we just haven't done that before. So this is such a cool opportunity. And I personally love that storytelling part of my job, that I kind of get to dig in on the narratives of some stories that maybe tug on some people's heartstrings. I feel like if we can tell a story that makes someone feel a little bit more optimistic about the world, or maybe a little bit more optimistic even about football, I think that we've done a good job. So I'm really proud of that piece. And I think L'Jarius should be too. He's a great guy, and he's doing great work with Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Kansas City.
Yes, definitely very cool. And for everybody watching live, I did post some links to some other great videos that I watched this morning. And like you said, tug at the heartstrings. The one video about the little kid that you brought in,
Man, yes.
little emotional. I won't lie. I'll be honest, but very, very cool to see the impact that you have. So make sure to check out those videos for everybody watching. And speaking of everybody watching, I know Nathan's got some questions for you that our students been sending in. So we're going to throw it live to him here for some of our questions from our great students we got tuned in.
Great.
Yeah, Jake, thank you so much for sending it out here. And Amanda, thanks for being part of the program with us today.
Sure.
We've got a handful of questions here from our students. This is from Perrin, and I hope I said the name correctly, from St. Anselm College. What's your typical day look like in the season? What's your typical day look like in the off season? What's the differences like for you working there with the Chiefs?
Sure, that's a great question. So the answer is there is no typical day, and I'm sure that people that you've interviewed as well have said the same thing. In the NFL, it changes daily, hourly. We just had an activation change for our game on Sunday, and that's 48 hours away. So we kind of have to pivot quickly and be really flexible. So I will say that in the season, it kind of works in a cyclical manner, especially if we have a home game. So I'm always in charge of our alumni and their appearances for our home games, whether they're doing our first pass appearance, our drum, which is kind of kicking off the game. We work to book those guys, manage all their logistics. We usually have some sort of outreach program during the week. So we plug in either a current or a former player. We typically do that on Tuesdays. And then the other days are just, kind of filling in wherever we can to make the most impact in Kansas City. So whether it's, working on a program like My Cause My Cleats, that involves more than just me. I want to make that clear that it is a very much a team effort. Everyone from social to creative to our just amazing production team, 65 TPT that put that piece together. A lot of meetings surrounding those and how we can make the most impact with those programs. So I would say in the off season, a lot of people that maybe aren't as comfortable or familiar with the league, they always think, it's the off season, if things slow down. Well, that's when we start planning for the season. So it really doesn't slow down. We are pretty busy year round. We've been so fortunate to play for the past 4 seasons well into the off season. So it's a good thing, but it kind of gives you a time crunch because you kind of like raise your head in February and you're like, oh, wow, we are, a month away from the combine, 2 months away from the draft. It comes back up very quickly. So there really is no off season for us, but every day is different and interesting in that way.
Yeah, I think that's a great point about how the off season, especially if you're with a franchise like the Chiefs playing so deep into the postseason, combine, draft, and you got OTAs. Oh, now it's training camp. Oh, wait, we're back to the regular season.
That's right.
Your off season goes by really, really quickly. In the NFL, it's done a great job. It's turned what is, just a 18-week season, regular season, into really an all-year experience for both the fans and now staff like yourself. Next question we have, this is from Michael, attends USC. And Michael wants to know, what do you value most about your role with the Chiefs organization?
It's a good question, Michael. I think, kind of just looking back at each season, whether or not the season ends how we want it to, and we've been very fortunate the past couple of years to have it end well. But I like to look back and think, how many people did we impact? Did our department impact? Did the team impact? Did the NFL in general impact? I think people, sometimes have kind of a cloudy view of a professional sports team, and maybe the money and the clout and the people surrounding it. And the work that we do is really counterintuitive to that. I'm really proud of all of the great work we've done in Kansas City. So I think, that's kind of the best part. And what I value most is looking back and seeing the work that we've done, but also looking ahead and seeing how we can continue to change and improve things, whether it's here in Kansas City or, through national programs that the league puts out.
I got to ask you, this is kind of more of a personal question. So sorry, students, I'm stealing one of your spots here, but you mentioned the impact that you make. And it got me thinking, here at the Hall of Fame, Jake, Jerry, myself working in youth and education,
Yeah.
that's what our heartbeat's about, trying to impact the next generation, the youth. How do you guys count impact or measure impact as the organization with the Chiefs? The simple thing is, oh, we had this many kids do this youth event, or we had this many fans come for this event. But like, how do you guys measure impact in the Kansas City community?
Yeah, it's funny. I remember my first season we lost in the playoffs, and I remember trying to like snap myself out of a bad mood. And I literally started trying to go through each event and count how many people were there. And I was like, this is going to take a while. We're not, this is not going to work well. So kind of the short answer there is, media impressions. We try to see how many people it touched, whether it was online or on TV. Our digital platforms do a great job of tracking all of those things. You can see how many people register for our youth programs, and Andrew and Jackson here at the Chiefs, they do an amazing job kind of keeping track of our youth development and fan growth that we have in those markets. Gosh, I don't have a very specific way of how we quantify those, but really just like you said, personal anecdotes from people saying, these programs at the YMCA, they really impacted our children, or at a homeless shelter, they could call us up and just a year later say, hey, are you guys planning to do that again? That's the biggest compliment is when they return to see if there's another way that we can work together, because it really is us working together to find solutions for different groups here in Kansas City.
Yeah, for sure. It can be something that's hard to quantify, but I'm sure that you and your team and others there in the organization, you guys are making a great impact within the community. Next question. This is from Rondell from Mercyhurst. And I'm sure you would have expected this question for this type of program. So what tips do you have for a college student that's trying to break into the sports industry?
Yeah, I wish I had like some sort of golden bullet for you to give you the keys to success on this. I think really just bet on yourself, right? Like wherever the path leads you, the first stop is not the last stop. You don't have to land your dream job out of school. I can tell you, I made very little money at my first job, but the experience that I gained was just incredible. And I worked a ton of hours. I probably wasn't super fun to be around, if we're speaking honestly, but gosh, I look back and think I learned so much, and the people that I met there are still great mentors to this day. So don't feel like that the first job that you take is forever, right? And none of this is linear. It's not going to have to be like you go to this job and then you go to the next one and you go to the next one and then you'll be at your dream job. Like you may take a left turn and you may go to a different industry for a while. You may take a right turn and go to something you never expected. If it is supposed to happen, it will. And I know that sounds really cliche, but I promise the skills that you learn at each role will come back to help you. I wasn't in sports until I was nearly, I guess I was 29. And I was always in marketing, but those things translated really, really well into community and working for a sports team. So don't count yourself out if that first job isn't kind of what you had envisioned. It's a long road, and your career hopefully will be many, many years. And there's a lot of opportunities in sports. So.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. You talk about betting on yourself. We've had other guests talk about, no one's going to believe in you or support you or advocate for you more than you will. So you got to be your biggest advocate. You got to bet on yourself, like you're saying, and understand that the dream job probably isn't going to be the first job that you have. And that actually, I wasn't going to ask this question. I was going to send it back to Jake, but that question or that thought process leads me to this question from Ashley, who attends Dordt University. And Ashley said, Amanda, can you tell us more about your journey to your current position? And I was doing some research before the program. LinkedIn, I think I counted at least 5 different positions that were not in the sports industry before you finally landed a job with the Chiefs. So more specifically, kind of how you went step by step to boom, now you're working for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Sure. It's interesting. You know, my parents' generation, and I'm sure yours, you worked at a job for 20 years or 30 years. And why would you leave? It's good, right? But I think it's okay to always want more and to keep setting higher and higher goals for yourself, whether it's to climb the ladder at different organizations. In my experience, the best way for me to move up and to gain more responsibility was to move kind of companies. And I see that a lot in marketing. So my first job I worked for, 2.5 years, and the next one I worked for 3. My husband and I moved to Boston for a while and had a couple of different jobs there. But like I said earlier, all of those jobs led me to this one. And I could share a kind of an interesting personal story that I had interviewed for a job at the Kansas City Chiefs almost exactly a year before I got hired in this role. So in a marketing role, because that's what I thought I was going to do always and forever, was be in marketing. So, I got down to the last 2 candidates. That job was given to someone internally, which made a lot of sense. And she's great. And that made sense at that time. I was pretty bummed, I'm not going to lie, that I didn't get that. I thought that was my only chance. Well, it's crazy when people say you never know how it's going to work out, but it's so true. A year, almost to the day later, I got a call that there was this job open, and they felt like my skills would translate. I interviewed it with pretty much the same people that I had interviewed with before, and I thought kind of to myself, wow, do I really want to get the door slammed in my face twice? Like, who wants that? But it worked out, and that first experience interviewing gave me those connections and the confidence to kind of go back and have those conversations, improve upon the things that I had talked about before. So never think that just because a job doesn't work out the first round, you never know what it's going to look like, 12 to 18 months later, 3 years from then, 5 years from then. It's never final, right? So don't get too down if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's great advice. And I love how you're able to intertwine your own story into the advice that you're offering the students. So that's really powerful and awesome. I'm going to send it back to Jake for some more questions, but we'll definitely have to come back over here from some more student questions. So please keep submitting your questions. Let us know where you're watching from, where you go to school. We'd love to ask your questions to Amanda. So Jake, back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah. And everything you said there was really cool. Great insights, not only your journey, but then how you kind of, like Nathan said, kind of give some tips and some tricks on how students today can use that in their same journeys when they're going to be out of school. So want to kind of stay on that same track here. And, you mentioned in there, you thought you were going to do marketing for the rest of your life, and you ended up in a community relations, community outreach role, alumni relations in there too. But for a student who might not know exactly what they want to do, are there any tips or tricks that you have to kind of find that one thing that they love and one thing that they could make a passion and make it a career out of?
Yeah, I think, especially for college students, I had several internships throughout college that I am, a handful of them were not a great fit when I look back, but I'm so glad that I did it because it kind of helped me decide what path I wanted to follow. I feel like that's a really good way to kind of try out different opportunities and roles without, committing to a full-time job with them. So I would encourage students to really see how they can get involved with internships in their college communities or even right after college. And if there's not an internship at a company that you're interested, ask if you can create one. There wasn't really a specific one at the Leukemia Lymphoma Society in Springfield where I went to school. I just asked if I could come a few days a week and help them with some different programs that they had going on. And at that time, they needed some help. So never feel like because there's not a public offering or a website listing for an internship that you can't at least approach them and pitch them the opportunity. You can help them as much as they can help you. So keep that in mind.
It's awfully hard for somebody to turn down some free work. I do know that
Right.
for sure. So, and then along the same path, you find that thing you like to do, whether it's sports or outside sports. Obviously, we're going to say we want it to be in sports, but you find that thing, and now you want to take that next step, and that next step is networking. And this is a great opportunity we're doing here today with Before the Snap. But college students who might be afraid to network or shy, or, you know, I was in that situation, like, I don't want to bother somebody and give them a resume or spiel or elevator pitch. But looking back, it was something like, you know, I probably should have done more of that. So someone in college, we know how important networking is stressed in classes and conferences, but from your side of things, how important is it to network and get yourself out there and grow the relationships that you have across so many different organizations?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I think networking, the term, is incredibly intimidating, right? I personally will never be the individual who can go into a conference room with a bunch of people I don't know and make a bunch of connections. That's how I've always been. I do really well in one-on-one settings or even small groups. So don't be intimidated by the term networking. I think that if you can connect and have meaningful conversations, maybe once a month, twice a month, with individuals that are doing things in the field that you want to be in, that's networking, right? It's just a conversation. It doesn't have to be so kind of forced and opportunistic. You can just, you know, meet someone for coffee, and I will give you a tip on that. And some people have reached out in the past to me, and I appreciate the hustle. I should say that to start. I love that they're reaching out, but just don't say, hey, Amanda, can I take you to coffee? I would love to pick your brain. I appreciate that, and I'm thankful for that. But what I will tell you is, what's more meaningful and impactful for me personally, and more likely to take that meeting, is if you come to me and say, Amanda, I'd really like to learn more about the programs that you're implementing with the Chiefs. If you can be very specific, then I can go into the meeting knowing specifically how I can help you. If it's just a broad, like, talk to me about your job, and how I can do it, there's just a lot there that you can't really fit into 30 minutes over coffee. So I would challenge students and people trying to get into sports, and just really anyone who wants to network, to be specific with what they want to learn from anyone, you know, in the professional field, or any kind of mentor situation.
Yeah, so do your research, whether it's to sit down for 30 minutes with coffee, whether it's going into an interview,
Yeah.
whatever it might be, do your research, because that's when we, as on the other side of that table, can see, oh, person A, person B did their research and are coming prepared to this. And that, I mean, I can say personally, that goes a long way for me. I don't want to speak on your behalf, but I feel like just in that answer there, you kind of see how important it is to come prepared to something like that.
Absolutely. Yes, that research piece just takes it a step further, and honestly, in my mind, makes me think you're really interested and you're not just trying to check the box.
Absolutely. We know working in sports is very unique. You know, not only do you get to do, you know, your job every day, you have during season, kind of different than the off season when you're preparing and planning. But working in sports provides the opportunity to be involved in some pretty cool games and moments and big things that happen. So looking back on your 4 years with the Chiefs, I have a guess of where this answer is going to go to. But if there's one moment or one thing that stands out to you as when you look back on your life, you're going to say, I can't believe I was a part of this. What is that moment? Like I said, I think I know where this is going, but what was it like for you? And what is that moment?
Yeah, Jake, I think we're on the same track here. You know, winning our first Super Bowl in 50 years, growing up in Kansas City. Yeah, it even makes me emotional now thinking about winning that Super Bowl in 2019. It was really, really special. Not everyone at the Chiefs is from Kansas City. I would say less than half is from Kansas City. So it was just a really cool opportunity for me, you know, growing up a Kansas City fan, to see we had waited so long for this, and to know that I had a really, really small part in obviously doing nothing on the field, but the programs and the things, the events surrounding it. It was really, really impactful. You know, and like I said, in 4.5 years, I've had 2 kids, a boy and a girl, and we won that Super Bowl right after I had my daughter. And I just remember thinking, gosh, you really can do anything. Like if you put your mind to it. I was exhausted. I wasn't sleeping. The kids weren't sleeping. We were just so nervous. It was the first time we've been to the Super Bowl, but goodness, what a happy memory that was. And we were just elated. So last year was the same. We didn't have the same outcome, but hoping to rectify that this year.
Absolutely. I will say, and I'll throw Nathan on the bus too. We are Packers fans, so we hope that doesn't happen again this year for you. But that we'll just leave it at that. But it is cool.
All in LA.
I hope so. I hope so. You talk about those moments, and they are cool to be a part of, not only with your job and the organization, but you talk about your family and even yourself growing up a Chiefs fan. There's just a little more specialness to it when you look at it at the end of the day. And you talked about not having any, impact on the field like those players do. One of those guys that did have an impact was the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. And obviously we know one of the best players in the league right now at any position. Part of what we do here at the Hall of Fame is, I mentioned our mission statement, honor the heroes of the game and to preserve its history. So not only do we honor the heroes of all and the game and the history of all of our Hall of Famers, it's even current players right now. So part of that, you look at Patrick's career, obviously he's been an MVP in the league, and we honor those MVPs right here in Canton, Ohio. So I'm going to send it out live to Nathan Martin, who's in our Pro Football Today gallery in front of a full uniform from Patrick Mahomes from his MVP season. So Nathan, go ahead.
Yeah, Jake, thank you so much for sending it out here. And like he was telling you guys, we're standing in the Pro Football Today gallery. So, you guys can't see it, but I'm looking at a Derrick Henry jersey. There's an Aaron Donald jersey over there. There's a Josh Allen jersey. And then obviously right behind me, we've got this Patrick Mahomes jersey that he wore during that 2018 season when he was named MVP of the league. That season alone, as a 23-year-old quarterback, he threw for over 5,000 yards, only 12 interceptions to go with 50 touchdowns. Became only the third quarterback in NFL history to throw for 50 or more touchdowns, joining Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. So that's some pretty good company for Patrick Mahomes to put himself in, playing the quarterback position, winning that MVP back in 2018. Now, Amanda, we had a question. I was going to ask my own, but we had a question from Zach, who attends the University of Nebraska, that was pretty similar to what we were going to ask you coming from here. And Zach was curious, can you talk a little bit more about the process of getting current players involved in the community? And maybe you have a little bit of a hand in that, but then alumni relations, how do you get your alumni involved in the community? Is it, hey, we have this event, come be a part of it? Do you wait for Will Shields to say, hey, I want to do this? And then you do the events that he wants to do? How does that process work? What's it like, current players, former players, and kind of what's your hand in all of that?
Yeah, I think both of those things that you touched on, both with current players and former players, are centered around mutually beneficial relationships. So you mentioned Will Shields. What a great guy. He's amazing, Pro Football Hall of Famer, and still lives here in Kansas City. We try to support him in ways that with programs that he is really interested in and causes that he gives to. But in return, if there's something that we have going on at the Chiefs that we need him to come help out with, he's really willing to do those types of things. And it really is an opportunity for, we'll scratch his back and he scratches ours. Like, we always are helping each other out, and it's all for the greater good. Everybody benefits in those types of programs. You talked a little bit about Patrick. So gosh, his nonprofit, his foundation is called 15 in the Mahomies, and they just do incredible work here in Kansas City. They have donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to different nonprofits in Kansas City, and he's just a model of excellence in the community space. But he's kind of at that top rung, right? Like he's done so much already in the short time that he's been here, but I don't ever want our current players to be intimidated by that. They don't have to come in and donate, 6 figures to a nonprofit. They can simply go and volunteer at any organization that they're interested in, and we are happy to set them up with that. We'll get them a car. We will work with a nonprofit organization to get a time that they can go and volunteer. We more so just want them to be fulfilled in exploring those different opportunities with causes that they're interested in. So there's a lot of ways that guys can get involved. We like I said earlier, we let them lead on what's important to them, but we are happy to facilitate and kind of set up those different opportunities for them.
Yeah, for sure. I think you did a good job kind of giving us, I guess, both sides of the coin. The current players, guys like Patrick Mahomes, and even the guys that aren't at that top rung, as you said, with that, hundreds of millions of dollars on that contract where he can write that six-figure check.
Sure.
Other guys, they might not be able to do that. And I love how you said we don't want them to ever be, intimidated or like, oh, if I can't do it the way Patrick does it, then why even try? Because the impact they can make is just as meaningful a lot of times with just
Absolutely.
showing up and doing things within the community. And I love that you highlighted Will Shields after I threw his name out there, because I know here in Canton, we love Will. He's a great guy when he comes to the Canton community and does a lot even here, I guess, at his second home here in Canton, Ohio. So we really appreciate that. And we're just happy that we're able to give you guys, I guess, an inside look at the museum here. Patrick Mahomes, I'm sure there'll be more artifacts of his and other Chiefs players. We've had Travis Kelce on display here. So thank you so much for what you're doing to the community in Kansas City, but we're going to send it back to Jake for some more questions.
Thank you guys, Nathan. You're doing amazing work in Canton. So I'm privileged to be able to work with you all.
Awesome. I will speak on behalf of everybody here and saying that we can echo that as well. Nathan talked about community outreach, got into some things there that players are doing. And I'm not going to make you pick your favorite community program. Don't make you do that, or your favorite outreach program that some of the players are doing. But, the kind of turning the corner on that is, you look in, there's the cliche saying, you never work a day in your life if you love what you do. And I think working in our role in youth and education, that kind of is that community outreach piece here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And obviously your job there with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
What is so special about this career path, this career field, and truly, why do you love what you do?
Gosh, I think I feel so inspired every day. There are hard days when things don't line up like we had hoped, and, maybe we lose on the field and we don't get, current player participation, but really just knowing that we are making a very small difference in the lives of a lot of people and helping those players achieve things that they're really interested in and give back to causes that they feel are important. So, I think a lot of the fan interaction too is a great part of the job. We get a lot of, fan mail, a lot of it really happy and a lot of it is, really sad. And if we can just brighten their day by sending, a gift basket or, a signed autographed item or something along those lines, it just feels really good. And I feel like that's a little bit selfish to say. It makes you feel good, but it really does. Giving back just is really important to me and my family, and to be able to do that on a professional level is really awesome.
Yeah, it's all about, putting those, as cliche as it sounds, putting the smiles on the faces. I always like to say, we have this great event, but if one kid walked away impacted, then our job was done, and then we did what we needed to do. So on your scale, you're seeing so many different people impacted. So I'm sure that there's so many stories you can tell about, families walking away, or those thank you emails or letters that you get to where, the lives are truly impacted, as like you said, as cliche as it sounds, lives are truly being changed in all these programs that you're doing.
Yeah, I think a neat part of that too is showing other people how giving back makes them feel. So I've experienced it, dozens of times where I kind of beg and ask repeatedly to current or former players, hey, can you please come to this event? Like we really need some guys there. I promise when you get there, it'll be impactful. We kind of, they don't reply for a while, and then, I stop them, and then they finally give in, and then they get there and they complete kind of the service project or whatever activation we're doing. They always say, gosh, I'm so glad that I did this. And showing them that, hey, once you kind of get there and you get your hands dirty, I think it's going to be something that you're really proud of. And then we've seen them go on to show their families what they've done and take their families back to different events like that. So that's been really cool to show others and kind of teach them how to find ways to get back in our community, and honestly just helps them feel good about themselves.
Yeah, I'm sure that not only are the lives of the families and everybody, the individuals involved in those projects change, but I'm sure there's sometimes the players walk away. It took more away from what they were doing than the people that they were helping, which is a really cool way to look at everything. And it just goes to show the power of the game of football and how great the game is. And you can be this great player on the field and give back, but you can be the 53rd guy on the roster and have the same impact off the field. So you look at the game as a whole, those who play it, watch it, coach it, work in it. What can they take away? What are those values, those life lessons that the game of football teaches that anybody can apply to their lives outside of the game?
Gosh, I think, tenacity, right? So when your back's against the wall and you think, gosh, this can't be any worse. You can be down. Gosh, my team's going to be mad at me that I don't remember how much we were down in the Super Bowl. I think it was maybe 10, but thinking, gosh, we're not going to be able to come back from this. And you really do. And they did. Knowing that you can work really, really, really hard and good things come from that. Just very basic values in football translate to life. I try to teach my kids a lot of the same things, just being a good sport, wanting the best for others and encouraging them when they're feeling down. And then just teamwork. Gosh, we wouldn't be anywhere if we didn't have, I have the greatest coworkers. Our community outreach department is just the best in the league. If I'm being honest, they're family, and I'm really proud of the work that we've all done. But then our whole company, we work together on a lot of great things, and I'm really proud of the collaboration that we've had.
Awesome. All right. I know we got some more questions from some students who are tuned in. So we're going to throw it back to Nathan here for some more questions from our students before we get everything wrapped up. So Nathan, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, Jake, thanks again. And students, thank you guys for submitting your questions and being a part of this program. We've got a question here from Thomas, Amanda, and Thomas attends Western New England University, graduate student. Is the advice different for a grad student? Basically, is Thomas's question, trying to get into the sports industry versus the undergrad. Is there a difference there? What type of advice do you have for the grad student in Thomas?
I wouldn't say that the advice is any different. I mean, you may have a little bit more school experience, which is amazing. It looks incredible on a resume, and we love that. But I would still encourage you to do the same things. Find internships that are in the sports industry. Help out where you can. Create your own internships if you can. We have a lot of our interns that are graduate students or just completed their master's, and they do an amazing job. So I don't think anyone should limit the term like intern or seasonal opportunity to someone who's just right out of school, out of their undergrad. It really can be anyone at any age, and we've seen success in all ages, in all education and experience. So
yeah, for sure, I would agree with that. I think the extra schooling is important. It helps. Sure. But I hate to say, but like a lot of jobs, they're looking for the experience, and like just go get your hands dirty, be willing to work. And so that's just how I would roll with that. Thomas, I think you did a great job answering that, Amanda. This next question is from Derek, who attends James Madison University. And Derek this is unique, an education bio major. So not really the sports industry at all. Sure. And Derek wants to know, is there a good entry-level job, internship position, like with that type of background, or maybe just in general, like getting your foot in the door? What are those entry-level jobs or internships that the Chiefs have, for example?
Yeah, I think if you can show on your resume that you have even the smallest kind of background or connection to sports, if you were a little league coach, if you volunteered at the YMCA, there's a lot of interns that we have or for entry-level jobs that don't have sports experience. I got my job without any sports experience. So I think if you can just show applicable skills and experience in, building relationships, if you're interested in community relations, working for a nonprofit, if you're interested in, marketing or ticket sales, I would encourage you to I don't want to say take any job in sports, but take any job in sports. Like you never know where it's going to lead. And I would say once you have your foot in the door, it's much easier to take kind of a lateral move to a different department, maybe one that you are more suited for, as opposed to just kind of continuing to work elsewhere.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And we always show a video. Actually, we do a careers in the NFL presentation with students all across the country. It's our most popular program. And the 49ers have sent us some videos of some of their staff talking about their background and their game day entertainment. The lady that works in game day entertainment has a English literature major.
Oh, yeah.
But she always talks about like, well, it's not really with what I'm doing, but I learned about storytelling and how to create these great experiences for fans. And there's ways that you can take your education, really whatever it is, and find ways to apply that to working in the sport industry for sure. So Derek, there's a little bit of encouragement for you as you try to get your foot into the door. Last question we have from students. This is Zach again. And it was such a good question. I had to go to Zach twice. He says, current events. He just saw Tyrann Mathieu won the NFL Charity Challenge. Did you guys have a hand in that? How proud are you guys of Tyrann Mathieu winning that award, working in the community department? So yeah, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, we work in tandem with Tyrann's team, but to push out that Walter Payton Man of the Year Charity Challenge, we use our social assets, and Alex Mary is our social media manager. She works a lot on getting those promotions out online and on our social channels, but we work in kind of telling his story. So you submit a formal application for your Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. And so it's our job to kind of paint the picture for the league and for fans as to why he should be Walter Payton Man of the Year and win that award. So we interview him, we learn more about the programs and the his foundation. He's done amazing things in Kansas City and really nationally. So we're super proud of him. We have, I would say, the best fans in the league, and they are super supportive of anything on social. Nathan and Jacob are shaking their heads because they want to say, but our fans are just so supportive of our guys, and we're really proud that they elevated him to be the winner of that charity challenge. So honestly, that money will go right back to his foundation, and he'll continue to do good with it. We're super psyched for him and really proud of the work that it took to get there.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys should be proud of him. And I had to give Zach a little bit of credit there, current event up on top of that news coming out. So
I love that. Yeah, that's a really specific question. And I think I spoke about that earlier. It looks like you did your research. So great job.
Yeah, for sure. So that's all I have from the students and myself. Amanda, thank you so much for being a part of the program. I know Jake will probably have one more question to kind of wrap things up with you, but we really appreciate all you do for the Chiefs, the Kansas City community, and really the game of football as a whole. So thank you. And Jake, back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, just a few more to wrap up here. And like I said, we're going to get into some playoff talk. So I got to say, is Kansas City ready for Bills Mafia to make the trip down there this Sunday?
Oh, goodness. We are ready. We are feeling a little nervous. The good part here is that my counterparts at the Bills, they're some of my favorite people in the league. So we're just really excited to see a lot of them again. They are looking very good, and it's going to be a great game. I'm excited for this.
Awesome. Yeah, I know as a fan, we're ready for it. And, to speak on the fans, I will say I have been to Lambeau for a game, and I have been to Arrowhead for a game. And I will say the atmospheres are very, very close. I'm obviously going to lean towards Lambeau, but being there in Arrowhead was actually for a Packers Sunday night game.
Okay.
We were down there, Nathan and I both, and it was one of the ones that I should be on a bucket list for sure to take a game in there at Arrowhead. Awesome atmosphere.
It's a special place for sure. We are looking forward to it. And like I said, we have just been so lucky to have a handful of playoff games, and 50 years will give you a lot of gratitude for that type of success. So we're really thankful.
As you should be. It's been great to watch the team grow and succeed on the field, and obviously in the community as well. To wrap things up today, last question, and we ask this every time we have this program. The last one is: there's been so much great advice on, how to get your foot in the door, how to network and grow that relationship, those networks that you have, and then a lot of things about the things you do on a day-to-day basis and how you succeed at that. But there's one piece of information or one nugget of information or one piece of advice that you want everybody who's tuned in today, who's going to watch this down the road. What is that one piece of advice you want them to walk away with today?
Yeah, and it's ironic that I give this advice. I think my husband would say, take your own advice, Amanda. But it would be not to take things too seriously, right? I look back at my career and the path that was on, and I remember, probably being really stressed about, what my next move was or what the next position was going to be like. And it all works out like it's supposed to. And I don't know a lot of people that really look back and say, gosh, I wish I never had that job. I just don't hear that often, because you can take something valuable from every role and every job, even if it's not your favorite and you're doing some things that maybe you don't love. You got to figure out what you're not enjoying, and that helps you kind of further define your dream and your goals in your career. I think the other piece that I just want to include is that working hard pays off, right? I don't want to generalize it about millennials at all, because I feel like we hear that a lot, and that's frustrating. I am one that we don't work hard, and you can never give too much effort to something that you are interested in, and people notice that. I've had to work 2 and 3 jobs at times to kind of make ends meet when I was in my 20s, and it was exhausting. But you have to know that it's not forever, and you'll eventually get to where you want to be. I look back at my career and look at where I am now and think, wow, this is something that I one day thought I could never achieve, and I did. But there's always bigger goals. You can always want more for yourself, and that's okay too. So I hope this has been helpful.
I know I took a lot away from it, so I know our students did as well. So with that, we're going to wrap up this installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Before the Snap series today. Very lucky and grateful again to be joined by Amanda Carlo, the Kansas City Chiefs Community and Alumni Relations Department. Amanda, again, thank you so much for being a part of the program today. And we know it's a busy time of the year, like you said. Game plans have switched 48 hours in advance. So having to take time out of your day to speak with us today and all the students, we are so thankful and greatly appreciate you giving us some of your time today.
Thank you guys for inviting me. This is awesome, and I love doing it. I hope that some of the students out there, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I may be a little busy the next couple of days, but I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Awesome. And before we all leave today, again, make sure you're tuned into everything we're doing here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Kansas City Chiefs as well. All the social channels, the Twitters, Facebook, Instagrams, LinkedIn, obviously being a great one to subscribe and follow on as well. I know here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, we're reaching that time where we're just about to announce our brand new class, the class of 2022 that will be enshrined this summer here in Canton, Ohio. So stay tuned to all of our social media channels. A great friend of ours, our coworker here, Jameer Howerton, is interviewing all the finalists for 2022 for the Mission podcast. So subscribe, follow to that, and hear all the great tidbits and stories from all of the finalists for this year's class of 2022. If you are a college student and you want to learn more about this event and kind of be the first to know who we're going to have of our guests, shoot us an email. It's in the chat, education@profootballhof.com. And we'll get you to on our newsletter so you know first off who's going to be all of our guests the next month. Again, that's education@profootballhof.com. Next week, we have Andrew Frey of the Detroit Lions, who works with their marketing team to talk all about his job and things he does with the Detroit Lions on a day-to-day basis. So make sure we hope to see you here next week for that program as well. And again, as I said at the beginning, working in the NFL, working in sports, it's not just an 18-week job. There's an off season. There's a season you have to work, but it's a full year job. And there's so much work that goes into making sure that ball can be kicked off on Sunday or Sunday night for our big playoff game here. So Amanda, again, thank you for everything you do for the game of football. Thank you for everything you do for us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So for myself, Nathan, Jerry, all the way up to our president, Jim Porter, thank you all so much for tuning in. Amanda, thank you again. And we hope to see you next week here on the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Before the Snap program. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys. Go Chiefs.